covers most of it, but then you need like a marker, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So
Fees.
I wanted some money to go. So say if I got a $250,000 policy, each one of my boys would get a significant amount, and then part of that be split between my 4 grandkids.
Right.
And the remainder pay for the marker, whatever other expenses needed to be taken care of.
Okay. So.
And then that's what came up with that. So then I lowered it to 150. That's not what I want to leave them, but maybe that's the only choice I might got. I don't know.
Okay.
And she never got back to me.
Okay. So let me see. What's more important to you? Is it getting a payment that would be not doubling your rent, or is it that leaving behind like the most humanly possible? What's like a priority for you?
Well, something that I can afford, a little combination of both.
A little combination of both. Okay. Well, I guess what I have to do for you here, Miss, I'm going to have to ask you a few questions so I can try and find that combination for you.
Okay.
And if you've looked into insurance, I'm sure you're familiar with the whole song and dance.
Well, because excuse me.
No worries.
My husband passed away like 2.5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He had a $300,000 life insurance policy. Now I'm telling you, he had it on speakerphone to make sure that I heard what he heard.
Right.
And he asked the lady repeatedly, this is not an accidental policy, correct? Correct, she said. You have, I believe she called it term life.
Okay.
No. Anyway, he passed away. I give the funeral home the insurance policy. They come back and tell me it's an accidental policy.
Oh my gosh.
So he left me with nothing.
Oh my gosh.
So, we had to borrow money to have him cremated.
Right.
I don't want that for my children. I want all my stuff, chiseled in stone, black and white, whatever, and I don't want them to have to put nothing out of their pocket.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry to hear that happened to you. I mean, that's just flat out fraud. I mean, that's what that sounds like. I mean, I can't even believe that.
Yep.
One of the things that I like to do with people whenever we look at these policies is to make sure that you get your eyes on the paperwork in black and white. So not only will they send some paperwork out to your house, but I'll make sure that if you have any questions, you got my direct line. That way you don't have to worry about none of that mess happening ever again, okay?
All right.
Now, I do got to ask you those questions, so I'm going to figure this out for us. But is your birthday on this paperwork here? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay, beautiful. So the biggest thing that I'm seeing here for us is you want to leave this money behind for sure, right? Like 100%?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And the next thing I've got to figure out, that tells me what type of insurance I think that I'm going to recommend to you. But I need to ask you those health questions to see which one you would qualify for, and we can go from there, okay?
Okay.
All right, hon. Alrighty. And let's see here. Okay, so I can see, now granted, I don't know where that lady was coming up with this mess, but we've definitely got some options here for you.
Okay.
So just
now, I want you to understand, I'm just looking right now. I don't want to chisel nothing in stone right off the rip, okay?
That's totally fine, miss. I wouldn't ask you to marry me on the first date anyways.
Okay, right on.
I hope that's all right. I just want to make sure that what we're looking at is going to actually be something that that's going to be feasible. I don't want to talk about some pie in the sky $790 a month mess or whatever, but I've got down here, and I'm going to run this by you just to make sure that everything's right. That way I'm not sending you some pie in the sky numbers, okay? So,
okay.
You haven't left the state of Michigan since you filled this out, right?
Right.
Okay, birthday's still beautiful. And then sometimes if you've got a anything else that might pop up from the last 5 to 10 years? Sometimes that does come up. Is there any hospitalizations or anything that you might be able to think of that might be of concern? Good. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. So, let's see here. Now, obviously, 700 is completely out of the. I mean, that's we've discussed that at length. It's out of the question. Is there a certain price range you're trying to stay under, just so I can kind of get an idea of what to even look at for you?
No, not really. Not $700.
Right.
No, not really.
Okay. Let me see what I can do for you then. I'm gonna try and find something that's gonna be feasible for you.
Okay.
And still get you enough coverage. My biggest concern is making sure that this lasts forever and pays out, because it sounds like you may have discussed term policies previously with your last experience.
Yeah, she tried talking me into that. She said that was for, that amount was for whole life.
Yeah.
Whole life. And then she said something about term, but it wouldn't be like my amount. She could find me a policy for like $50,000. That's a drop in the bucket. I got 2 sons and 4 grandkids, and I want to leave them something.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have it planned in my head how I want it to be. It's just not in my pocket. You know what I mean? These numbers are not right.
Exactly. So we've just got to find the balance.
Right.
Okay. So let's see. Alrighty. So I found one company that might be able to do something for you.
Okay.
Now, Miss, I'm just going to give you a price range, okay?
Okay.
So all I need you to tell me to do is whether you want me to go up or down, right? I could, like, to be honest with you, doesn't matter which plan you get, if you get a plan or not. My job is just to get people approved. And if I do a good job, my manager gives me a promotion if I get good reviews from people. So what I'm going to do is just cover these with you. If you see something you like, you just tell me what's what, and we'll go from there, okay?
All right.
Now, the company's name that I'm looking at here for you their name is Baltimore Life. And I'm gonna tell you why I'm looking at them, because I work with all of the big insurance companies like Mutual of Omaha, Aetna, American General, whoever. And the reason I'm looking at them is because you told me that 100% you want to make sure this money get left behind. We don't want to run into an accidental situation again. We don't want to run into a term situation where it goes away after a certain time. So with what you're telling me, you're definitely looking for whole life insurance, from what I've gathered.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Because, like, what is term? What is considered term? Like, how many years?
Anything that's set for a set period of time. So just like, let's say you look at a policy that's set for 10 years or set for 20 years or 30 years, that would be a term policy. Just it's set for a certain term of time and then it terminates.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't, based off what you're telling me, if you want to guarantee leaving money behind, then you're not going to want to do that. Now, here's where there's a lot of mix-ups. A lot of these cats you'll see online or on TV, or people will call you up and promise the moon and the stars, is where they come in with these term policies because they're super cheap because they only last for a little while. And then they say, hey, we can get you, $250,000 or $300,000 or $150,000. It's only going to be like, $50 a month or whatever they tell you. And then they find out they can't get you approved, or they find out that, this doesn't last forever. This is only good until next year, and then I have to renew it again, and the price goes up. You get what I'm saying so far?
Okay, yeah.
So we want to avoid all of those headaches entirely, is what I've gathered from what you've told me. Is that right?
Yeah.
So I came back with
if I had a term policy that was like 10 years. And I lived the 10 years, right? And then my time is up. Can I renew the policy?
If it has a renewability clause in there, yes, you can. If it's only set for 10 years to expire, then sometimes the answer is no. Right?
Okay, so that's just it, and I've just lost all that money.
It's just high five, great to meet you, be on your way. But if
Okay.
if you pass away, then all the money's there. But
Okay.
the bet that you're making is that the insurance company's betting that he's going to be around, and basically betting that she's not going to be around in that scenario. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And so, yeah, the renewable prices are always crazy. I would not recommend it. But
Okay.
with what I'm looking at here for you, like I said, if we need to go up or down, just call the shots. But they came back with a few different offers. This is just the price range. So I looked at 100,000, 75 grand,
Okay.
and 50 grand.
Okay.
Again, this is just the initial price range. If you want to go in between, up, down, you just tell me where to go and I'll follow. But with what I'm looking at here, this is very important, this part. These are each all the exact same plan. So you're going to pay a little bit more for what you get here. But you're not going to be paying for double rent, let me tell you that. But it's also going to be there from day one until day none. So God forbid you make your first payment next Tuesday and Wednesday you pass on, for example. All of that money goes straight to your family.
Okay.
Now, if you pass on in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40, it's still there.
Okay.
So as long as you pay the small bill, the company gives your family the big payout. Are you with me so far?
Okay. I got you.
Do you have any questions for me on how that works?
No.
Okay. So far we've got 100 grand, 75 grand, and 50 grand. And the prices came back for us. This is assuming that price came back for 100 grand at only $302.93 a month.
Okay.
The 75 grand came back at $227.19 a month.
Okay.
And the 50 grand came back at $162.14. Let me know when you got it.
Okay.
You got it down?
Oh, yeah, I wrote it.
Okay, beautiful. Now the thing here, miss, is we just got to find out which plan is going to be the best one for you and your family. Of these three options, which one do you think would be the best fit for you?
Well, probably the 50 grand would be more affordable, but I don't know. I guess I just ain't leaving them nothing because I just don't got this kind of money.
Yeah, I mean, we can always look at something lower too, because with what you've told me so far, your biggest concern is not to make anybody rich, but just to make sure that you can leave something behind. Is that right?
I want them to be able to put a down payment on a house or invest it in something or, you know what I mean? I want to leave my boys at least $50,000.
Okay.
At the minimum. But I can't afford this, so I got to think of something else.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so you're basically just trying to help kind of set them up for the next stage in their life. Is that right?
Well, yeah, because I don't want to leave them in a lurch. My husband passed. I mean, we had a picnic on Saturday, and I found him dead Sunday morning.
Oh, my gosh.
So I don't want it just to be, boom, surprise, mom's dead on the floor.
Right.
And they got no means to do nothing. I do not want them to borrow money to bury me, you know what I mean? But I want to leave them something, because the way I have been left to live on that surprise whim is horrible. So I don't want that for them. No. I mean, they both got a job. They both have good jobs, and they work hard, and they make good money. But I want to leave them a chunk of something to step out of that box. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Okay.
So.
I didn't realize that life insurance was this expensive. You know what I mean?
No, for
And I
sure.
know that the price has something to do with the fact that I smoke, which is absolutely stupid because I know people who have never smoked and died of cancer. So that's just really dumb. Um, okay. Well, I gotta think about this.
For sure. And if you're looking to, I mean, it would depend on, I guess, kind of what your goal is. If you wanna get it 100% for sure, it's going to cost more to leave it behind. But if you want to get more coverage and have a higher chance of leaving more behind, then it might make more sense for you to look at something like a term policy that might pay out a bigger claim, right? But then you're taking the chance
Yeah.
of time versus money. And so the biggest thing we have to figure out here for you, because I looked at all the big companies. I mean, Baltimore Life even beat out Mutual of Omaha, and that just never happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
That's what I have for my final burial and or whatever it's called.
Right.
Final expenses, I guess that's what it's called.
and,
I have that policy, and I pay $35 a month
uh-huh.
for that. I just
Okay.
didn't realize that it's so expensive. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. Well, let's see. I mean, what kind of house would you be trying to help them out with? Because we could figure out how to help them get a down payment, and we can break this down for you. I mean, how many kids would we be looking at here?
My two sons.
2 sons. What's the average down payment of a house in your area, or where they live?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe 30,000, 40,000. I don't know.
What area do they live
I don't
in?
know. I own my home, so I haven't looked into that lately.
No worries.
I don't know.
Where do they live at? You know?
Yeah, they live right here in Michigan, right around me.
Okay.
One lives a mile away, one lives about 5 miles away.
Are you guys around Detroit, or where you at? What area?
No, we're probably about 35 or 40 miles outside of Detroit.
Okay. Let me see. I'll check on this for you. Detroit, Michigan, average house price. Let's see.
Commerce area, but that don't mean that's where they want to buy a house.
Right. Okay. Well, let's
You
check
know
on
what I'm
it.
saying?
Commerce. I got a couple clients out there in Commerce. That's a nice area to live in.
Uh-huh.
Is it
I mean, like
Commerce
my younger
Township?
son, he's hoping that someday he can move to Colorado.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, Colorado's nice too. It's pretty cold out there. It's cold out there and in Michigan, to be honest, though.
yeah.
Let's see.
I'd much rather be out west than be here, though.
Oh yeah, I live out in Arizona. Have you ever been out there before?
Yeah, I have family in Arizona.
What part?
Around the Phoenix area. My one relative lives around Scottsdale.
Oh, that's like maybe 35 minutes away from me. Scottsdale's nice.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love Arizona. Arizona's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice here. Let me see. So I'm checking out these areas, and I'm just looking in your area because obviously, like, when we got so much information that we're working with here. Let's see. So it looks like the average home for about. You said you have how many grandkids?
I have 4.
4. Okay, so 4 grandkids, 2 sons. So they'd be looking at probably what, like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, probably something like that, you think?
Probably something like that.
Okay. And then let's see here. I'm doing the math for you because I really want to make this happen for you if it's possible, okay?
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. So I just looked here. So I looked at Rocket Mortgage, right? They do a lot of or Rocket Homes. They do a lot of the housing prices here in the Commerce Township area.
Yeah.
And they said that if you're looking at a 3-2, those houses are coming in about anywhere between $320,000 to $375,000. So their down payment's going to be anywhere from like $9,000 to $15,000 if they were going to do the average FHA of like 3%. So let's see.
Okay, so, all right, I'll recalculate my figures. I really wanted to leave them more. But, let's see, if I left each one of my boys 25,000,
Right.
and each one of my grandkids half of that, that brings me to 100,000.
Right.
Okay, I can't afford $302 right at this moment. Maybe next month I can. I don't know. We'll see.
Let me see.
All right, and that's the cheapest that you could get it for me for whole life.
That'll be the cheapest anybody can do 100 grand in whole life. Any company anywhere, and that's just because most companies don't even go over 50,000. So I'm sorry, hold on. Oh my gosh. So we would be looking at, you said you wanted to leave 25 grand behind each kid, if possible. And then what about the grandkids? Is that kind of where you were looking to split up the rest of it, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so that would be 12,500.
Right. Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna do I like to measure twice. I'm like super safe. Okay. Give me 1 second.
All right.
So 50,000. Yeah, 12,500 each. Okay. And then that would put us at the. Yeah. And then give me 1 second. I'm just making a note here so I can kind of put this together for you. Okay.
Okay.
For each grandkid, and total comes out to 100K with Baltimore Life. Alrighty. And then you said that this would be something that you might be able to do next month, is that correct?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Like March.
Okay.
I'll know better, my finances better in March.
Totally. And so
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Let me think on this. 302,000.
And we've got
$302.43. Let me see, and my rent.
And then I think what might make sense, because you've got a birthday coming up, it looks like, right?
I absolutely do.
Well, first off, happy birthday, right?
Thank you so much.
So happy early birthday. Now, keep in mind, prices can change when birthdays come around. They usually go up. So obviously, we want to keep that in mind. I think what might make the most sense for us here, because obviously you want to leave as much behind. 25,000 for both the boys is going to get them a good down payment on a nice house. And so I think if we can find something that's going to be affordable, we can figure out how much from there we can leave behind for everyone. Because what I don't want, and I have earlier on in my career, I didn't know, I was not as well versed in this type of business, and I made, I had some people who were like, I want to leave a ton behind, but it was a little too expensive. What I don't want is the heat goes out or something else comes up, because you know how it is, life always happens. I don't want this to stretch you thin at all. So even if it's even a question at all, like even close, like I don't know if you even have to think about it, I say that we should maybe look at going down a little bit, because I can get your payment way lower. Because if I'm being honest with you, if my mom left me $50, I'd be happy. I don't even care if she leaves me anything. The thought is what counts. My mom could leave me a card with a blade of grass in it and a, hey, you weren't that bad, and I'd be okay. You know what I mean? So I'm looking here. I looked at, let me see what this will break down to. I found something that might be feasible for you. And like I said, just keep it real with me. If you see something you're like, I don't like that, you just tell me, okay?
All right.
I found an $80,000 plan with Baltimore Life, and that only came back, if we can get you approved, that only came back at about $242.34 a month. That leaves both of the boys 25 grand, 50 grand total, and that leaves the grandkids each $7,500, which would be 2 of what I got for my first car. So Do you
Okay, and
think?
that's for 80,000.
Yeah, the same plan. Day one, God forbid you pass away, 80 grand gets paid out like that.
Okay.
And that dropped your payment like,
241.
that dropped
Okay,
it
and then that
from,
could go up next month too, right? Well, not necessarily next month, probably like 9 days or whatever the heck it is.
yeah. So whenever you get that locked in,
But that's not, that also, though, I'm not figuring, I'm forgetting about, I probably would need probably another $5,000 to $10,000 to completely bury me, because the funeral arrangements came to 12,000,
mm-hmm,
a little over $12,000, but then you got to pay for a marker. You
right?
know what I mean? And them are like outrageous, stupid, expensive.
Exactly. Well,
So,
what's going on currently then? Because you said obviously you said that you want to keep the payment lower if possible and still cover the
yeah.
expenses. But you said that with your birthday coming up, it sounds like there might be something going on. Is there obviously you want to leave the money behind? You want to do that before the rates go up and everything, but is there like a bill that came up or something, or is there something that you're currently finishing paying off or something, or what does that look like?
Oh no, I have a pending case in March, so I'll know more about my finances
Oh, you mean
uh,
like for disability or
around the
something?
middle of March.